This is The Extra Point, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast, sponsored by your Phoenix Suns.
Well, it's draft week in the NFL. It's going to take over coverage here on Arizona's Family with our draft coverage online and on TV all night, Thursday, Friday, into Saturday. So let's talk to an expert about the NFL draft. He's been drafted. He's had two sons get drafted, and love to talk about just how much it's grown and what he's doing. As a former possession receiver myself, I always tried to be like our next guest, and I think he was more than a possession receiver. We saw him with the deep ball more than a few times. Ed McCaffrey, Easy Ed, joins us now on Arizona's Family Extra Point. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. Thank you for joining me and my African safari. In this tree, we have a koala. Yeah, I apologize for the backdrop. Got caught on the road here, but we're having a good time. I'm excited for the draft. The kids are excited for the draft. OTAs are starting up, so they're in town for their OTAs, and gosh, it's almost here, right? Once the draft is done, a couple more free agent signings, then the season rolls around and we're back to football.
Well, I thought you were like picking food for you. Don't you have like a food company now? Is that
where,
like, yeah?
This is where I get all my plant-based protein. We have a pea-based protein for our McCaffrey brand's protein snacks.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. So what's more daunting? I was actually curious about this and kind of prepping for the interview. Starting a business or trying to make it to the NFL? How do they compare?
Well, it's very easy to start a business. It's very hard to be successful in business, but it's easy to start one. Luckily, we've been a little bit of both. But playing in the NFL, you certainly have to have a little bit of innate talent and ability that you're just blessed with. But then you have to hone it over the course of many, many years. And there's a lot of great athletes that never make it because it's hard. It's a hard sport. It's a contact sport. It's a collision sport. Not everybody's built for the A gap. You know what I mean? And you got to work really hard at it and compete with the best athletes in the world. So very hard to make an NFL football team. Even harder to last in the league longer than what the league average is, which is I think 2.3 years. And if you're lucky and blessed, like I was, you win a couple of Super Bowls and have some memories that last you a lifetime. Creating a business, very similar though. It's probably more similar to coaching in my role as founder and CEO, but I get to work with 15 different people in different capacities to grow our business. And then I'm always dealing with outside partners, our retailers, our online brokers, our manufacturers, our farmers. And so it feels really cool to be part of a team and work with other people to be part of something bigger than yourself. That's one of the life lessons you learn when you play football, and it's one of the things you learn in business as well.
You strike me as a guy who's always got to have something going on because you've always had something going on. Just based on like 4 kids, that seems like crazy. Are you not in your element unless it's like long drive, a little bit of chaos, a little bit of something on the line, trying to get the ball in the end zone in some way, shape, or form?
Yeah, that's one way to put it, I guess. I mean, I feel like I have a lot of energy, but I have the least amount of energy of anyone in my family. My wife, Lisa, is just wired, and she's always moving and shaking, and the kids are always active. And man, I loved being an NFL player, loved being a dad and a husband. We're empty nesters now, and I do have to be doing something. I have to be working towards something to be happy. And our food products have been selling since 1998. So the business has been going on a really long time. I've just most recently got more involved with growing our business. And that's why we launched our first national launch with a healthy snack, our protein bites. But before that, we had mustard and horseradish and some other food products over the years that have had various levels of success. But we're really all in on our protein bites. We think they're the best tasting healthy snack in the market. We think our mustards and horseradishes are the best in the business. And so we're really proud of them, but we're growing it like crazy. Just in the last year, we started a website, McCaffreybrands.com, where you can buy it. We negotiate it with our wholesalers, our manufacturers, and expanded our mustard and horseradish line and added this national healthy snack, our protein bites, which are now on the shelves officially at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Oh,
if you have a Dick's Sporting Goods near you.
Oh yeah,
and then
I'm there all the time. Like 4 times a week.
And we're dealing with a whole bunch of other retailers. The mustards, we're working really hard to get them in the stadiums. And so we've done so much in just 12 months. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun too.
That's all. Yeah, I'm literally at Dick's Sporting Goods. I have two boys, and they're playing lots of sports, and we're there all the time. So I'm gonna look for them. All right, so take me back to the day you were drafted. I don't know
Oh,
what the meal was like. If there was protein or maybe like a hot dog or something like that. What would you have told yourself the day the New York Giants called for the road you were about to go down?
oh, what would I told myself? I was so ready to get drafted. I got to take you back to 1991. So if you can remember that far back, we were using rotary phones. There was no Zoom or online meeting rooms. There probably were some plastic plants like this in the off-campus apartment I was living in. Um, I was with my wife Lisa, and I was sitting by one of those rotary phones. It had a cord on it, like the one in Napoleon Dynamite. It literally was right out of that scene. And I was just sitting around waiting, and people were going about their day, going to class. I shared this off-campus house with like 15 people. You remember college, right? There's like got my buddy Joey sleeping on the couch, renting it for 25 bucks a month just to sleep on the couch. It's one of those setups, and it's just sitting by the rotary phone. Buddy's calling me up. I don't even think we had call waiting. I'm like, dude, you got to hang up. Call me, call me after I get drafted. And back then they only televised 2 rounds, right? So I'm watching it, and I kind of thought I'd go in the second round. I was really bummed I didn't go in the second round. So I was one of those guys who was waiting and waiting, and then they didn't televise the third round. So it's off television, and I'm just sitting there waiting in limbo. No radio, no phone, no nothing. Just waiting on somebody to call me. And I thought maybe I'd have to wait another night, but then with the last pick of the third round, they selected me, and I got the call from Bill Parcells and the New York Football Giants. And after that, it didn't matter how long I was waiting. I was just so excited. That was like a dream come true.
Man, so Bill Parcells calls. I mean, do you remember what he said to you? Is it like one of those out of body experiences?
It was not the red carpet treatment at all. He said, "Hey, this is Coach Bill Parcells, head coach of the New York Football Giants. Super Bowl champion New York Football Giants. They just won the Super Bowl in 1990." And he said, "We picked you with the, I don't know what pick it was, 83rd pick, the last pick of the third round. Welcome to the team. We think maybe you can help us and contribute. We have a mini camp on this date." It was like so matter of fact, you wouldn't even believe it. It was definitely not red carpet treatment. But now knowing Coach Parcells and his personality, it suited him. He was just being very honest. They picked me with the last pick of the third round. They had a mini camp. And I remember when we got to mini camp, I laugh about it now with some of my buddies that were in that mini camp. Guys like Anthony Lynn were in that mini camp, and Tom Ruin, a punter that I played with for a long time, and some other guys. And he basically said, "Hey, look, we just won the Super Bowl. We've got a great team. Hopefully some of you guys can make the team and help us win another one." But it wasn't a feeling of you've made it. It was a feeling that you still need to make the team. Like you haven't officially made the team yet. And so it was really kind of a wake up call that even if you get drafted, you don't necessarily make the team. And even if you make the team, you don't last long unless you produce. And that's what it's all about. Once you get to the NFL, it doesn't matter what you did in college, right? It's not based on what you did in the past. It's what you're doing today to help teams win.
Interesting. Welcome to the world champs. All right. So how does it compare, say, to your boys getting drafted, your sons getting drafted, and that moment of how would you term it? Is it relief?
Yeah, it kind of is relief. And every one of my kids was different. Max was my oldest. He's coaching with the Dolphins now, but when he went through it, he thought he might get drafted around 5 to 7, and then he ended up not getting drafted. But starting in the fifth round, you get calls of teams that might draft you. And they might have a few last questions. They're letting you know they might pick you, but then you also have teams calling, wanting to sign you to futures contracts, which is obviously if you don't get drafted, you sign with a team so you can show up to their mini camp and you negotiate a contract, etc. So just a ton of phone calls coming in around 5 to 7. He ended up not getting drafted. Went to the Raiders for like 2 weeks. Ended up playing in the league like I don't know 6 years or so. He's with 6 different teams. Couple years with the Niners, couple years with the Green Bay Packers, played for New Orleans. He had a different path, but he was blessed to be able to play in the NFL, bouncing up and down off the regular roster in the practice squad. So that was a whole different experience, and it was our first time that we went through it. But the whole draft was televised at that point. And then Christian went through it. Obviously, he was a high first round draft pick, and it was expected. You never know though. He could have went as high as 3. he went a little lower than that. So there was a little bit of waiting, but not as much. And then it was a dream come true. But he celebrated it with us, our family, and our friends at our house. He didn't actually go to the draft. Same with my son Luke. He's our youngest. He plays with the Commanders, and he wanted to do it at home. But I remember I was sitting next to Christian at our house, and he kind of went through a similar experience as what I went through, except that we had family and friends there instead of just me and Lisa hanging out at this off-campus house.
And
But Christian and I were looking
Joey
at
was
him.
on the couch, right? Joey was on the couch. Was Joey on the couch?
Joey was not at a couch at my house, but he was on the couch back in 1991.
Okay.
And we were still not sure why. You know what? He ran out in the middle before I got drafted. He ran out of the house, and he knew what was going on. The guy was a smart guy. He's like, "Hey, did you get drafted yet?" He hadn't said a word all day. And I'm like, "No." He's like, "It's gonna happen soon. Gonna happen soon." And then he ran out the door. I don't know where he was going, probably to class. But anyway, I digress. With Luke, Christian and I were sitting on the chair, and we saw him pick his phone up. And you're not sure if it's his agent calling him to see how he's doing, because it was near the end of the third round, and there's only a couple picks left. And sure enough, a big old smile broke out on his face, and Christian and I knew instantly, oh my gosh, he just got drafted. That's so cool. But you don't know what team yet, because they call you a few picks ahead of where you actually get drafted. So we weren't sure which team picked him. And then we found out, and it was we all celebrated. It was pretty cool to experience that.
He didn't tell you? He made you wait and watch it on TV?
Yeah, no, he told us, but he's talking to Adam Peters, and he's talking to Dan Quinn, and he's on the phone. So we're listening and trying to hear who he's talking to. And as soon as we heard a name, we knew what team it was. But yeah, but then we all got to sit together around the television and actually watch it, and then we celebrate it again. And then they want you to act like you're just finding out. So for some people at our house, they were just finding out, because we went to the back room to talk about it. And then we went back into the room and said, "Hey guys, make sure you're paying attention." And they announced it on TV, and then everyone, celebrates. It was a cool deal.
Is it emotions, like were there tears? How would you describe the emotions?
Yeah, some people were
yourself,
jumping up. I mean,
yourself getting drafted, yourself getting drafted versus your sons. How do the emotions? I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm curious.
Yeah, no, for me, I think it was way more relief. And I was really excited that I was going to Super Bowl champion. That was kind of cool. And back to the East Coast, where went to high school in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So back to the East Coast, a team that just won the Super Bowl was pretty cool. But it was relief, because I was expecting to go in the second round. For Luke, he went through a similar thing. Like, he thought he might go a little higher, and when you see receivers going off the board, gets you a little nervous. But for him, it was just sheer excitement. We were excited that he got drafted and didn't have to sleep on it overnight. We were excited that he went to a great team. Felt really good about the Commanders, and it proved to be a good harbinger. They ended up having a phenomenal season, and he got to join a team with a young quarterback in Jaden Daniels, who's a rising star. I think it's really cool as a receiver to be part of that early on, and part of this new Dan Quinn team. So very exciting for me as a dad. I was just so excited for him, because he was happy, and with where he went is maybe more so than what pick he was. And I try to encourage all my kids and anybody that asks me to be more concerned with which team you go to than what pick in the draft. That's so much more important. And we were really excited because we knew he was going to a good organization.
That's cool. And both have the Arizona connections, because Cliff Kingsbury, of course, was the coach out here. Jaden Daniels played at ASU, and then Brock Purdy. I mean, I was interviewing him after high school games on the field in Arizona, and his story is well chronicled. So how closely do you watch those two situations and the picks and the way they build the team? How does it work each pick by pick, and knowing who could be joining your sons on the roster?
Yeah, I mean, you don't know for sure, but we were pretty sure Jaden was going to go to Washington, and Cliff Kingsbury was the perfect coordinator. I mean, you couldn't have found a better match between a coordinator and a quarterback than Cliff Kingsbury and Jaden Daniels. They hit the ground running from day one. Maybe Jaden took a couple games to get used to his teammates and used to the speed of the game. He's very calculated, very smart, obviously very athletic, and he got better and better and better as the year went on. So that was pretty cool. And I know as a receiver, you have to have a good quarterback. You can't throw yourself the ball, right? You can't call plays for yourself. So you need someone that's a real leader and a talented player at that position. We knew he had it in Jaden Daniels, because he had already joined the team. So between Dan Quinn, And I vetted him, by the way. I asked everyone I knew about Dan Quinn. I didn't hear one bad word about him. Everyone has the utmost respect for him as a coach. Cliff Kingsbury, phenomenal play caller, and more importantly, just the perfect play caller for Jaden Daniels. And then Luke got to join a lot of really talented players as well. And it's they had some veteran leaders, no doubt, but they also have a lot of young guys that they're developing and they're able to grow together.
Interesting. I do wonder too. San Francisco versus Washington, if those two are kind of on a collision course here, are those the conversations in the McCaffrey household right now?
Yeah, we hope they both play in the NFC Championship. That would be nice. Yeah, 49ers had a difficult year last year, but they had so many guys hurt. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. No one likes to talk about it. You just can't lose 6 or 7 All-Pro players or Pro Bowlers or Hall of Famers and think you're going to be the same team. The good news coming out of the Bay is that they had a lot of young players like Mustafa and Wilson and some other guys, a lot of young players that got a lot of playing time that will be way better this year. Ricky Pearsall played at the end of the season.
Another Arizona guy.
Yeah, yeah. So those guys got some good experience, which and I think will help them going into this year. And then you get Brandon Ayuk back, you get Christian back, you get Trent Williams back. You get a lot of your star players back on the field, and then hopefully they have 11 draft picks, which is as much as any team in the NFL. They pick up a couple young guys that can contribute as well. But we're expecting them to pick right up where they left off 2 years ago with their veteran players back in the lineup and hopefully with the addition of some real good young players.
Interesting. Yep. Let John Lynch cook there. How does the training compare, say, getting your son ready to play college football, which might have changed now with all the NIL stuff, getting him ready for the draft, and then getting him ready year by year to get better in the NFL to compete and grow and get bigger, faster, stronger?
Yeah, I think, gosh, in football, a lot of it has to do with your conditioning. Obviously, you need to be on the right sports performance program in terms of what you're doing on the field and what you're doing in the weight room so that you can develop. And obviously, you're going to look a lot different your senior year than you did your freshman year when you entered college coming out of high school. So that's a big part of it. Over 4 years, you have to be in a good strength and sports performance program, but also you need to master the skills at your position. So, it helps, I think, if you're going to play in a pro style offense in the NFL to be developed in a pro style offense in college. Now, more and more, we're seeing the NFL adopt college offenses with dual threat quarterbacks, meaning the quarterback's actually going to have designed runs or options for them to run built into the game plan. And that makes it a little bit easier for college quarterbacks to adjust to the NFL. A lot more RPOs are in the game today than what they used to be. So if you're, say, a receiver and you're in an up tempo offense, then maybe it's less important to have been developed in a pro style if you're running a lot of RPOs and you're running to space. But at some point, you do have to win versus man-to-man coverage, which is so incredibly important. And in order to be able to do that against the best DBs in the league, you have to be a great route runner. And so once you have enough speed, once you have enough strength and explosion, you just really need to be a great route runner. And that takes time and practice, especially against the best in the NFL.
Who is the fastest McCaffrey currently, and when was the last time that you beat one of them in a race?
The last time I beat one of them in a race was probably in 7th grade. Um, when Christian was in 7th grade, that was probably the last time. I remember chasing him around in the backyard, and I couldn't catch him, and I was starting to get a little pissed. I'm like, okay, I got to stretch out a little bit. Maybe my hammies are tight. I don't know. And then I started chasing him again. I'm like, there's no freaking way I can't catch him. Like, this is really making me angry. Um, and then obviously Dylan and Luke were younger, so I could still catch them. But as they got older, it was pretty much over. I'm in my 50s now, man. That ship sailed a long time ago. I'm just trying to not to pull the hammy. Um, but yeah, I actually trained with Max. I was trying to give him a scout look at playing DB, pressing him and helping him work on getting off the line. And I started feeling pretty good. I was feeling a little froggy, and I was moving quick. And then all of a sudden, I opened up and about tore my groin muscle right off the bone. It hurt so bad, and then I realized it still hurts to this day. I get work done on it, but I'm like, I gotta hang it up, man. I'm gonna end up in the hospital if I keep this up. But it's as a dad, you love to see it. Your kids kind of surpass you, and it's a pretty cool feeling. It's a humbling feeling, but it's pretty cool feeling as well.
And as the guy with the Super Bowl ring, how much does that sort of is that like the guide? I mean, how much do you bust out the Super Bowl ring from time to time and
You know what?
everybody kind of
I don't have any Lombardi trophies in the house, and I've never worn my Super Bowl rings around them. And that was by design. I didn't want them to feel the pressure living in Colorado to feel like they had to be an NFL player or had to win a Super Bowl for me to love them or care about them. I didn't want that hanging over their head. Didn't want that shadow cast on them. So I really um, never talked about it. Didn't have stuff hanging up in the house, even though I was really proud of those Super Bowls and proud of the rings and proud of the memories that I had. Trust me, they watched every Broncos game I ever played in. They've watched Super Bowl 32 and 33 probably 1,000 times. They play with the Broncos when they were growing up. They played with the Broncos on Madden, so there was enough of that out there. But I'm thinking about maybe ordering a couple of Lombardis now that we're empty nesters and those guys are grown up. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave a little empty space between the Lombardi trophies for hopefully one of them one day will bring one home. They're grown men. They can handle it now. They've made such incredible careers for themselves. And just like it was a dream of mine, it's a dream of theirs. And I'm hoping one of them, or maybe who knows, both of them can realize that dream one day.
it would go good with the trees as your backdrop. By the way, I don't know.
Yeah, it would be a little better than these trees if I had a couple of Lombardis back here.
Hey, I do want to ask as a dad, and I don't my children have my genes, so they're not going to play at a high level, but they do love to play. And the mental side of it is the hardest part, is the ups and the downs. And obviously Christian was injured this year and bouncing back. What's your best piece of advice to parents out there about raising resilient kids who compete like crazy, but are also, have empathy for other people?
Right, that's a great question. Well, I was a kid at one point, and obviously as a parent, I would say that think your children really want to know more than anything that you love them, that you care for them, that you're there for them, and that you're proud of them more than anything else. And so, if they feel that way, if they feel loved, if they feel that you're proud of them, if they feel like you accept them the way they are, and if you challenge them, I think they want to be challenged as well. Tough love is love also, and discipline is also love. So, if they know your heart's in it, they say in football, they don't care what you know till they know that you care. That's about everybody, especially your kids.
Washington and San Francisco play in the NFC Championship this year. What are the emotions going on inside your gut, inside your brain, and just throughout the whole family?
That would be a phenomenal situation. I would be so excited. What a great problem. That wouldn't even be a problem. I was about to say it'd be a great problem to have. That wouldn't be a problem. That would be insane. That would be so cool. I hope that happens.
Oh, I do too. We would go crazy. And Brock Purdy. I mean, his story, just as we wrap this up here, Mr. Irrelevant. And we've monitored this for a long time here. How much do you think having that Mr. Irrelevant has kind of helped his story and helped inside the Niner locker room to really, elevate his leadership and his voice that he's made it this far?
I think it helps him. I mean, you know what, though? It doesn't change who he is, whether he was the first pick of the draft or the last pick of the draft. He's the same guy. He's the same quarterback. It's just a lot of teams got it wrong. Christian got traded to the 49ers midseason right before they were playing the Kansas City Chiefs a couple years ago. And Brock Purdy was at the time the third string quarterback, and he was putting Christian through all the plays, dialing the plays up, all the run plays, all the pass plays, all the protections. And Christian told me that week, because I'd only seen him in training camp and he was the third string QB, so he wasn't expected to get in. But Christian told me that week, hey, man, this guy's the real deal. He's really good. Because I was asking about him, what do you think of Brock? How is he? He beat out a veteran player to make the team. And he gave him his highest compliment. And that's why when he finally got in the game, I knew he was ready to go. You never know for sure, right? What someone's going to look like when they're playing in a live NFL game. But Christian told me he knew every play inside and out, knew every protection inside and out, had a great arm, and was a real leader. And so I felt good about him when he finally got the nod. So I wasn't surprised at all that he had the success that he did once he became the starter. But it's been real cool to see. But I think, sometimes having a chip on your shoulder maybe does motivate you a little bit. But he's cool hand Luke. He is cool, calm, and collected. Nothing gets to him. He's the same guy week in and week out, and he's a heck of a football player. He's about to get paid like he was drafted. in the top of the first round.
Yeah, what a story. We saw it when he was in high school out here, and we thought, why is nobody on this guy? And then it just built and built and built, and it was a legend. I know Christian tried to play quarterback that one time. I don't know if that. I don't know.
That game was incredible. That NFC Championship against the Eagles, they had no quarterbacks. It was him and Juszczyk trying to take snaps. I'm like, this is not going to end well. I've never seen anything like it, and unfortunately, the NFL, I think, went back to the old rule where you can't suit up 3 quarterbacks, which I thought was a mistake in case something like that ever happens again. But no, Brock's the real deal. He's the real deal. He's a leader and a great quarterback. And isn't it amazing, though, how people miss it? Like, we're going to watch this year's draft, and there's going to be some guys just like Brock. They're going to slip down to the end of the draft or maybe not get drafted. And we're going to say, what are these guys thinking, right? They're the GMs. It's their job to study these players, but there's still going to be a couple that they miss out on. And it happens every single year, and I don't know why. But when we see guys like that, it feels good that they you know what? Rather than prove coaches wrong, they prove the coach that drafted them right. And that's the kind of the way I try to look at it.
Well, that's exactly what you did with Parcells, and then in Denver as well. Is there anybody you really like in the NFL draft this year? Any receivers you're eyeing, or anybody that you've trained with that keep an eye on? Even Travis Hunter up there in Colorado, is he any good?
Yeah, he's obviously very good. He's the most interesting player in the draft. I mean, obviously, a lot of people think he'll go second to Cleveland. If he drops past second, it's not going to be very far. He'll go third or fourth. But he's a two-way player, right? He plays offense and defense. Most of the draft experts are saying that he's a receiver. Personally, I think he's a better DB. And I think he will play both ways in the NFL, but I think it's easier if you're a lockdown, shutdown corner and you're practicing with the defense. It's easier to put a select package of plays in offensively for him to execute because he's such a phenomenal athlete. So I think it would be easier to play corner and then also play receiver than it would be to try to play receiver and then also play cornerback, because there's only so many minutes in a practice, right? So many practices in a week. It's hard to prepare for both in the NFL, and there's no way you're going to have 170 snaps. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. He's so talented and he's so passionate about the game. No matter what he decides to do, he'll be successful at it. But if he is going to be a two-way player, and he said he wants to be, I think it's cornerback with some receiver rather than receiver with some quarterback, but we'll see. Who knows?
Yeah, it would make sense. It would be, just a lot like Dion and Patrick Peterson. And you know what? Hey, I've really enjoyed this conversation. I appreciate the time. I was a little worried because I do remember when they mic'd you up on NFL Films, I don't think you said anything the entire game, and Steve Sable was talking about it one time. So I think this media thing and the perspective will work out, but I was a little worried after watching that mic'd up segment that one time.
Yeah, I think it was the first one ever they didn't use. I was mic'd up, and it was against my old team, the New York Giants. I was playing for the Broncos, and we were 13-0, and we lost that game. And all I think I said at the end of the game was, they're going to throw it to Toomer. That's all I said, and sure enough, they did, and he caught it, and they beat us. And it was our first loss of the season. And they said all they heard was a bunch of snot rockets back and forth, and no audio whatsoever. You know what I just realized? I feel like Zach Galifianakis between two ferns right now. Have you ever seen that? It just dawned on me. That's exactly what I look like.
We just launched a new show. You got to have guys on.
What kind of plants are these? I know they're not pea plants. I know that. I don't know what they are.
What is it? A papaya, or what?
Is that what
goes
it is?
into your
I'll
next
have to
protein?
be a regular guest between two papayas.
Oh,
that's
there we
what
go.
we'll do from here.
Well, if you are down in Arizona, we'd love to have you in studio to talk more about the protein snacks. Give us on the way out of here. How should we be eating if we want to train like a McCaffrey?
You should be eating birthday cake, fudge brownie, and chocolate chip cookie dough. Protein bites. McCaffrey Brands protein bites.
Oh, that's good.
Gluten-free, non-GMO, sustainably made. McCaffreybrands.com or on the shelves of your local Dick's Sporting Goods.
The McClune boys are going to love that. Hey, thank you so much for your time. Look forward to seeing the next chapter for your boys, and appreciate the perspective today.
Thank you. Let's do it again. Thank you for having me on the show.
The Extra Point Podcast is a production of 3TV, CBS5, and azfamily.com in Phoenix, Arizona.